There comes a moment, quiet, raw, undeniable, when the weight you've been dragging finally makes you stop, not because you're weak, but because your soul whispers, "This is not yours to carry anymore." Life will break you. It will betray you. It will hand you pain you didn't ask for. But the real question is, will you keep holding on to what hurts you, or will you finally have the courage to let go? Because healing doesn't begin when life gets easier. It begins when you decide to release what no longer deserves a place in your heart. You can't rise if you're chained to what's breaking you. It's that simple. You can try to push through, to hustle harder, to grit your teeth and pretend that the weight you carry isn't holding you back. But deep down you feel it in your chest every morning when you wake up exhausted before the day even begins. You feel it in the hesitation before you speak, in the tension in your shoulders, in the way your dreams start to fade into things you no longer reach for. It's not always visible, but it's always present. The weight of resentment, regret, shame, betrayal, whatever name your burden goes by, and we carry these things like they define us. We tell ourselves stories like, "This happened to me, so this is who I am." That's the trap. Life will hand you pain, but it's your grip that decides whether it keeps controlling you. There's a difference between what you've been through and who you are. The pain is part of the process, but it's not your identity. And if you don't learn to release what's heavy, you'll spend your whole life anchored to a version of yourself that never gets to fly. Letting go isn't weakness. It's not giving up. It's not forgetting or pretending that nothing happened. It's strength. It's clarity. It's the moment you realize your peace matters more than your pride. Because carrying the weight of old wounds doesn't punish those who hurt you. It punishes you. And for what? To prove you're strong enough to hold it all. You're strong enough to release it. That's the real power. Some of us hold on because the pain became familiar. It's like carrying a backpack full of rocks. You've walked with it so long, you forget it's there. It becomes part of you, but imagine setting it down. Imagine how much further, how much faster, how much freer you could move. When life hurts, we think our only options are to endure or collapse. But there's another path, surrender. Not surrender as in defeat, but surrender as in trust. Trust that what's behind you doesn't define what's ahead. Trust that the space you create by letting go becomes the room where healing, peace, and clarity can live. It's not always a one-time decision. Sometimes you have to let go a little every day. You wake up and remind yourself, I'm not going to relive that moment again today. You breathe through the urge to pick up the old anger, the old insecurity, the old story. And with every small act of release, you rise. You rise into who you were meant to be before the pain twisted your view of yourself. You rise into peace, not because life stopped hurting, but because you stopped gripping the blade. You were not built to carry everything, and that doesn't make you fragile. It makes you human. Stop waiting for someone to apologize the right way, for life to reverse what happened, for the perfect moment to release what's heavy. That moment won't come until you create it. Letting go is not about them. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about choosing freedom over resentment, clarity over chaos, growth over guilt. So take inventory. What thought do you keep feeding that's keeping you small? What relationship are you clinging to that constantly drains you? What memory are you revisiting that only reopens wounds? And what belief about yourself do you need to bury so that your true self can breathe? Let go of the fear that says you'll be empty without the weight, because here's the truth. Once you release what's heavy, you don't become less. You become light. You become faster, clearer, more open to the people and possibilities waiting on the other side of pain. And in that space, your life begins again. You were never meant to live stuck in the gravity of what hurt you. You were born to rise. We grow up hearing about forgiveness like it's some kind of favor we do for other people. Like it's something you hand over to the ones who wronged you once they've earned it. Once they've said sorry, changed, or proven they deserve a second chance. But let me tell you something that'll break that lie wide open. Forgiveness isn't for them asterisk. It's not about excusing their behavior or pretending it didn't hurt. Forgiveness is about your peace, your energy, your freedom, because while you're holding on to anger, they're out living their life. While you're rehearsing that betrayal over and over in your mind, they're not the ones suffering. You are. Your body feels it. Your mind feels it. Your future pays the price for what your past won't release. And it's not fair, I know, but freedom rarely is. It doesn't wait for justice. It waits for you to choose it. You see, the mind is like a room. When it's filled with resentment, there's no space left for vision. When bitterness takes root, nothing else can grow. And when you hold on to what they did, you make them part of every conversation, every dream, every decision. Whether you realize it or not, that's the trap. You think holding on keeps you in control, but really, it's the thing keeping you stuck. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. Let's be clear. You can forgive someone and never let them near your life again. In fact, sometimes forgiveness requires that kind of boundary. It doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you're not going to let what they did write the next chapter of your life. You refuse to give them that power. That's what forgiveness is. It's strength, not softness, and you may think, but they don't deserve it. Maybe they don't, but you do. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve to wake up without the weight of someone else's choices pressing against your chest. Forgiveness isn't letting them off the hook. It's unhooking yourself from the past so you can walk forward without dragging a 1,000-pound chain. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs in life don't happen in loud moments. They happen quietly, when you sit with your pain, breathe through it, and finally say, I'm done letting this define me. You stop waiting for an apology that may never come. You stop needing closure that isn't going to show up with a bow. You give yourself the closure because you realize that healing isn't passive, it's a choice. A courageous, intentional choice to stop bleeding for wounds that someone else caused. And I get it, it's not easy. Sometimes the pain runs so deep, you don't even know who you are without it. Sometimes it's all you've known. You've built walls around it. You've built identity around it. Letting go feels like losing a piece of yourself. But it's not your essence you're losing. It's the weight that's been distorting it. The version of you that's waiting on the other side of forgiveness is stronger, lighter, clearer. But to meet them, you've got to unclench your fist. You don't wait to forgive until you feel like it. You forgive to free yourself to feel again to love again, to trust again, not because the world is safe, but because you are strong. The mind trained in forgiveness doesn't forget what happened, but it stops letting it own the present. It learns, it adapts, it grows. That's the gift. You don't get your old life back. You build a new one, with wisdom in your bones and fire in your eyes. And hear this, some of the people you need to forgive aren't just out there. Some of them are in here. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself, for what you allowed, what you ignored, how long you stayed, how much you gave. But you were doing your best with what you knew. You were trying to survive, to make sense of chaos, to find love where there was pain. You're not weak, you're human, and that version of you deserves compassion, not condemnation. So today, make the call, not to them, to yourself. Release the debt, set it down, say it aloud if you need to. I forgive you, not because you asked, but because I'm done carrying this. Asterisk, that's how you take your power back. That's how you become unbreakable. Not by holding grudges, but by holding peace, because the strongest people are the ones who choose freedom over fury. Every time, let go, not for them, but for the life you're still meant to live. I know what it feels like to believe pain is permanent. When you're in it, when your chest is tight, your thoughts are heavy, and the days blur together, it's easy to convince yourself that this is just how it's going to be now. That something in you broke, and it'll never be the same again. But let me speak some truth into that lie. Pain is a season, not a sentence. What you're feeling right now is not a life sentence. It's not your forever. It's a moment in time, and like every season, winter, spring, summer, fall, it will change. The storm you're in is real, and I'm not here to minimize it, but I am here to remind you that even the darkest clouds eventually break. Even the coldest winters end. You are not stuck. You are simply passing through something that hurts. There's a danger in thinking pain defines you, that because you're feeling it now, it's somehow woven into your identity. But pain is an experience, not your essence. Just like a season, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It may feel endless now, but it's not. And that's the part you've got to remember when your strength is running low and your mind starts whispering that this is just who you are now. That's a lie. This is where you are not who you are. And here's what most people won't tell you. Sometimes the most painful seasons come right before the most powerful transformations. You might be in a pruning phase. You're losing people, opportunities, beliefs, and it feels like everything's being stripped away. But what if it's not punishment? What if it's preparation? What if the pain isn't there to destroy you, but to clear space for something greater? What if it's shaking loose all the things you can no longer carry into your next chapter? I've seen it time and time again. People going through the fire thinking it's the end, only to come out with a strength and clarity they never would have found without it. But here's the key. They didn't stay in the fire. They walked through it, step by step, breath by breath, not because they had the answers, not because it stopped hurting, but because they decided that pain wouldn't be their home. You have to stop building houses in seasons that were meant to pass. Stop setting up camp in heartbreak, betrayal, regret. You don't belong there. Feel it, yes, honor it, learn from it, but don't make it your identity. Don't decorate it and call it yours, because as soon as you start saying, "This is just the way I am now," you've locked the door from the inside, and freedom doesn't live in that mindset. Healing doesn't either. And let me tell you something else. The people who seem the strongest, they've been through something. Strength isn't built in ease. It's forged in discomfort, in adversity, in nights when you couldn't sleep, and days when you showed up anyway. If you're hurting but still here, still listening, still fighting, still breathing, there's a strength in you that most people will never understand. So don't underestimate what this pain is producing in you. But here's the shift. Don't just survive this season use it. Let it teach you what matters. Let it show you who's real. Let it push you into self-respect. Let it burn off what's not aligned with your purpose. You can't control the storm, but you can control who you become in the middle of it. And that choice, that's where the power is. You're not meant to be defined by your suffering. You're meant to be refined by it. That doesn't mean you have to love the pain. It means you refuse to let it be wasted. You take the lessons, you take the grit, and you carry them forward, not as wounds, but as wisdom. So if today feels heavy, if the season feels endless, I want you to hold on to this truth. This is not the end. It's just the middle. You haven't met all of yourself yet. You haven't lived the chapters that will make this one make sense. You are not stuck. You're growing, quietly, slowly, painfully, but undeniably growing. Because pain is real, but so is healing, so is clarity, so is strength, and they are on the other side of your willingness to keep going. This is a season, not a sentence. Don't let a hard chapter trick you into giving up the book. When life breaks you open, when pain brings you to your knees, the instinct is to hold tighter, to grip everything familiar out of fear that letting go will mean losing control. But what if that instinct is the very thing keeping you stuck? What if what you're clinging to is the weight that's keeping you from rising? There comes a point in every journey where the real act of strength is release. Letting go isn't weakness. It's not quitting. It's not giving up. It's choosing to stop bleeding energy into what no longer serves your growth. The truth is, you cannot carry the weight of your past into the future you're meant to live. You cannot move forward with both hands full of what was. And yet, we hold on, gripping the memory, the betrayal, the regret, the should have been. We replay conversations, analyze decisions, dwell in the shadows. Why? Because the pain became familiar, because holding on felt safer than the unknown that comes after. But here's what I've learned through my own fire. Letting go doesn't erase the pain. It makes space for what that pain was hiding. And what it was hiding is you, the version of you that isn't defined by what happened, the version that isn't fueled by fear, resentment, or shame, the version of you that breathes lighter, that stands taller, that walks through the world unburdened by the chains of the past. Letting go is active. It's deliberate. It's an act of war against everything that tries to convince you you're powerless. Because the moment you release what's been consuming your energy, your mind, your identity, you create space for strength to step in. Not the kind of strength the world applauds, the loud, aggressive, performative kind. No, I'm talking about quiet strength, peaceful strength, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything, the kind that moves with clarity and confidence because it's no longer distracted by what no longer matters. You know what drains most people's strength? Emotional clutter, carrying around stories that expired years ago, holding onto grudges like they're trophies, staying angry at people who have long moved on. Letting guilt live rent free in your mind. All of it is noise, and you can't hear your power when your mind is full of noise. You've got to clean the house. You've got to make room for truth. Make room for wisdom. Make room for the person you're becoming, and maybe no one ever told you this, so I'll say it plainly. You are allowed to let go, even if they never apologized, even if it still hurts, even if part of you wishes it turned out different. You are allowed to put it down, not because it never mattered, but because it no longer controls your direction. Forgiveness, closure, clarity, these aren't gifts you wait to receive. They're decisions you make for your freedom. Because when you free your hands, you can finally build. When you free your heart, you can finally feel. And when you free your mind, you can finally think clearly and act boldly. You are not obligated to carry every chapter with you. Some were written to teach you, some were written to break you open so you could rebuild, some were just necessary storms, but none of them were meant to be your permanent address. There's a new version of you waiting, but they can't rise if you're still buried under the old one. You've got to let go so they can breathe, and I get it. Letting go feels like loss at first, like something's missing. But if you stay with it long enough, you'll realize what you're actually feeling is space. And that space, that's potential, that's energy returning, that's peace arriving. It may be unfamiliar, but it's yours, and from that space you can create, you can grow, you can begin again stronger than you ever thought possible. So don't be afraid to let go. Be afraid of holding on so long that you forget who you really are. The strength you're looking for is already inside you, but it needs room, room to breathe, room to rise, room to move. Give it that room. Let go, not to fall, but to fly. Because only when your hands are empty can you finally lift them in power.